Welcome, curious minds, to another bookish dive. We've explored some truly incredible works here before, done a couple of these deep dives already, and today, well, we're plunging into a book that really sparked global conversation and profoundly challenged the status quo. That's Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead by Sheryl Sandberg.
Absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive really is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this incredibly influential book. We'll unpack its core arguments, some surprising facts too, and the practical advice within, hopefully helping you gain a really well-informed perspective on its powerful and, let's be honest, sometimes debated message.
It really is. It's this blend, isn't it? Part memoir, part, well, a call to action, maybe. And it's just full of observations about why, despite significant strides, progress for women in leadership seems to have stalled. We're going to really dig into what makes these insights resonate so powerfully and what they mean for us today. So yeah, let's unpack this. Let's see what truly stands out. Sandberg immediately pulls you into her narrative. It's with a very personal and frankly quite relatable story. It's about her challenging first pregnancy while she was working at Google.
Oh, yeah? I remember that part.
She talks about severe morning sickness, gaining nearly 70 pounds, her feet swelling 2 shoe sizes. And then this leads a particularly sensitive Google engineer, as she puts it, to call her Project Whale.
Wow. Yeah. It's stark, isn't it? Offensive, obviously, but it really illustrates the lack of awareness she faced, even in what you'd think was a progressive place like early Google. And what's truly insightful there, I think, isn't just the awkward humor or the discomfort she felt. It's how this very specific micro issue, her own aching feet needing reserved parking for pregnant women, suddenly illuminated a huge systemic blind spot. Even for Google, growing super fast, thinking they're all about innovation.
Right. Because who thinks about pregnancy parking if you've never been pregnant and needed it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
She found Sergey Brin, one of the founders, apparently in a yoga pose.
Typical Silicon Valley image right there.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And she asked for the parking. He agreed immediately, just admitted, he'd simply never thought about it. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other invisible barriers like that exist just because they haven't been personally experienced by the people in charge?
That personal story, that awakening, it really does set the stage for her whole argument. Because despite women making steady progress in college degrees, entry-level jobs, since the 80s, the percentage of women at the very top of corporate America has, as she says, barely budged in a decade. It's kind of shocking.
The numbers are pretty sobering.
Yeah, we're talking, 21 Fortune 500 CEOs who are women at the time she wrote it, only 14% of executive officer positions. It's this fascinating paradox, isn't it? Progress is supposed to be happening everywhere else, but getting to the absolute top, that's still a massive struggle.
And stepping back, the bigger picture here, the implication, is huge. Economically, societally. Sandberg really highlights the sheer waste of talent when, half the population isn't fully tapped into.
That Warren Buffett quote is powerful.
It is. Legendary investor Warren Buffett saying he basically succeeded by competing with only half the population. It's quite a statement. And Lima Goboe, the 2011 Nobel Peace Prize winner, she told Sandberg the best way American women could help those suffering from war was
more women in power.
Exactly, more women in power. So it raises this critical question. What are the fundamental barriers stopping more women from reaching the top? And maybe more importantly, what role do we all play, men and women, in taking those barriers down?
And Sandberg, she definitely acknowledges the real external obstacles. Sexism, discrimination, harassment, they're absolutely real. But she shifts her main focus, and this is where some controversy came in, to what she calls internal barriers.
Right, the ones within women themselves.
She describes it as the ultimate chicken and egg situation, which comes first, right? And she argues that overcoming these internal hurdles is, critical to gaining power.
It's important to note, though, she's very clear the book isn't like a rigid self-help guide. It's not defining one single path to success. It's more about empowering women to pursue whatever their objectives are, to make their own choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And her story about hosting that meeting for Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner at Facebook, that's incredibly striking. It's such a perfect illustration of these internal barriers she's talking about.
Remind me of the details on that one.
Okay, so she invited 15 prominent Silicon Valley execs. 4 were women. Geithner publicly welcomed everyone, encouraged them to sit at the main conference table. But these 4 women, they chose to sit in chairs against the wall, literally on the sidelines, even after being asked to move closer.
Wow, okay, yeah. It's a powerful visual.
It makes you wonder how often these subtle dynamics play out every day, right? In meetings and offices. So what did Sandberg take away from that? What was going on there?
Well, her observation led her to this really profound realization about how these internal barriers actually show up. She connects it directly to what psychologists call imposter syndrome.
Ah, yes, the feeling of being a fraud.
Exactly. And it's fascinating because it's not about your actual competence, is it? It's that internalized belief that you're inadequate, even when all the evidence points to your success. High achievers, especially women, she notes, often feel like they don't deserve the praise, they're going to be found out.
Tina Fey had that great quote about it.
Right. Vacillating between extreme egomania and I'm a fraud. It captures it perfectly. And Sandberg suggests this often comes from societal expectations, where girls and women are often praised for effort, trying hard, rather than innate ability. It creates this kind of mental trap, stopping them from really leaning in to opportunities they're totally qualified for.
And the data, it definitely backs this up, doesn't it?
It really does.
Women consistently underestimate their own performance, like those studies showing female students giving themselves lower scores than male students.
Even when the professor's evaluations showed that women actually did better.
Right, and potential political candidates. Men are, what, 60% more likely to think they're very qualified than women with the exact same credentials.
60%, that's not a small gap.
It's huge. It's not just a feeling, it's actively impacting real-world decisions about who steps up.
And this brings us to another really vital point she makes, the success and likability paradox.
Oh, the Heidi Howard study. That one's famous.
It is, and for good reason. So they took a case study about a real, successful venture capitalist, Heidi Rosen. When her story was presented with her name, people saw her as selfish, aggressive, not very likable. But when the exact same story was presented, just changing the name to Howard, suddenly he was seen as an appealing colleague, a go-getter.
It's such a clear double bind.
It's critical. It puts women in this impossible position. If a woman is competent, she does not seem nice enough. If a woman seems really nice, she's considered more nice than competent. It's a trap rooted in these deep-seated societal expectations about gender roles and what leadership looks like.
Sandberg even shares a really personal example from her own time in business school. That hit home for me.
Which one was that?
She won a Henry Ford Scholar Award, right? Highest first-year grades. Shared it with 6 guys.
Okay.
Unlike the men, she said she didn't let my award status become general knowledge. She even asked her closest friend to keep it a secret. Because she realized, and this is tough, that being top of the class may have made life easier for my male peers, but it would have made my life harder.
Oof, yeah.
This need to kind of mute your achievements to avoid being disliked. She argues it starts really young. Intelligence in girls isn't always seen as making them popular or attractive to boys.
It's incredibly relatable, I think, for anyone who's felt that subtle or not so subtle pressure to dim their light a bit.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Another really compelling metaphor she uses is about career paths. She says a career is a jungle gym, not a ladder.
Ah, yes. The jungle gym analogy, I like that one.
She got it from Eric Schmidt, who was CEO of Google then. He told her, if you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, you don't ask what seat, you just get on.
That really shifts the whole way you think about career progression, doesn't it?
Totally. It means focusing on, the potential for fast growth, the company's mission, maybe the team, rather than just looking for the next specific title or that linear step-by-step climb up the ladder.
And a key takeaway here, connecting back to the internal barriers, is how women might sometimes miss out on those rocket ship opportunities, often by being perhaps a bit more risk-averse in their career choices.
The application statistic.
Exactly. Studies show women often only apply for jobs if they feel they meet 100% of the criteria. Whereas men, maybe more optimistically or maybe just differently socialized, will apply if they meet, say, 60%.
Which means women might hold back from roles where they could really stretch and grow.
Right. And it often leads to women performing a similar function even when they move up or stay internal, rather than actively seeking out those diverse experiences that are so crucial for leadership roles later on.
Does this tie into the tiara syndrome she mentions?
It absolutely does. That idea that if you just work really hard, keep your head down, do great work, someone will eventually notice and, place a tiara on your head, promote you.
Like magic.
Like magic, yeah. But Sandberg argues pretty forcefully that this passive approach, just waiting to be recognized, is often exactly why women get overlooked. Active self-advocacy, being willing to say, I want that rocket ship seat, even if you don't tick every single box yet, That's crucial.
Okay, this leads us very naturally to one of the book's maybe most impactful and sometimes misunderstood pieces of advice. Don't leave before you leave.
Ah, yes. This one definitely sparked discussion.
She noticed this common pattern. Women, sometimes years before they even had a partner, let alone were thinking about kids, they'd start asking about work-life balance, maternity policies. They'd start planning their careers around anticipated motherhood.
Making decisions today based on a future possibility that might be years away or might not even happen in the way they imagine.
So what are the actual practical implications of doing that, of mentally checking out early?
Well, the implication is pretty significant. This mental preparation, as she calls it, often means women literally lean back.
Yeah.
Maybe they stop taking on the really challenging assignments, or they turn down a promotion that requires travel, or they pull back from networking, all because they're already, in their minds, preparing for an exit or a downshift that hasn't actually happened yet.
And the irony is...
The irony is, by the time a baby does arrive, if it does, they're already in a potentially very different career position, maybe feeling less fulfilled, less challenged, underutilized, which, paradoxically, can make them more likely to actually drop out of the workforce.
Whereas if you have a job you love...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Conversely, having a really compelling, challenging job that you're passionate about, like the example she gives of Joanna Strober, can be a powerful reason to want to return to work after maternity leave. The work itself becomes a strong pull factor, not just something you feel obligated to do.
All right, let's shift to partnership. Sandberg makes a very, very bold claim here. She says, the single most important career decision that a woman makes is whether she will have a life partner and who that partner is.
It's a huge statement.
And she doubles down. I don't know of one woman in a leadership position whose life partner is not fully, and I mean fully supportive of her career, no exceptions.
Wow, no exceptions.
Why is this relationship dynamic, in her view, so absolutely paramount to a woman's career success?
Well, it forces us to look squarely at the division of labor at home, doesn't it? The data is pretty consistent. Even when both partners work full-time, studies show mothers are doing significantly more childcare, like 40% more and about 30% more housework than fathers.
Still...
Even now, the gap has narrowed, but yes, it persists. And she points out that public policy sometimes even reinforces this, subtly calling mothers the designated parent, which can lead, she suggests, to men sometimes seeing childcare not as a shared responsibility, but as babysitting or, helping out with their job, hobbies even.
Hobbies, wow.
And Sandberg's point is clear. Women cannot truly lean in at work if they're carrying the weight of the second shift, the majority of the domestic load, at home. It's just not sustainable.
She then gets into something called maternal gatekeeping. What's that about?
Right. This is where women, maybe inadvertently, discourage their male partners from doing their share, perhaps by being too controlling or critical about how things are done. The right way to load the dishwasher or dress the baby.
I can see that happening.
Her advice is pretty blunt and kind of funny. Let him put the diaper on the baby any way he wants as long as he's doing it himself. And if he gets up to deal with the diaper before being asked, she should smile, even if he puts that diaper on the baby's head.
Okay. Maybe not literally on the head, but the point is made.
The point is made. It really highlights the need for women sometimes to release that control, trust their partners, and let go of perfectionism at home too.
To allow for true partnership.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, beyond the impact on the couple, is the ripple effect on the kids. When fathers are highly involved, not just helping out, but truly co-parenting, the research shows children tend to have higher levels of educational and economic achievement.
Really?
Yeah, low delinquency rates, and they even tend to be more empathetic.
That's incredible.
It really underscores the importance of men also leaning in, but leaning into their families, challenging those traditional gender roles, creating new norms for the next generation.
So it benefits everyone.
It really does. Sandberg even throws in some dating advice. Find someone who genuinely wants an equal partner, someone who values fairness, who wants to do his share. Because, as she puts it, over time, nothing is sexier than a partner who is actively building an equitable life together.
Okay, so pulling these threads together, the career, the home life, what's the central message about that elusive idea of having it all?
She's very direct. It's a myth.
Just straight up, a myth.
Pretty much. She explains, all of us are dealing with the constrained optimization that is life. None of us can have it all, and those who claim to are most likely lying.
Okay, refreshing honesty there.
It is. And instead of striving for this unattainable perfection, she advocates for something much more practical. Done is better than perfect.
That anecdote about the executive putting her kids to sleep in their school clothes, that really resonates.
It totally does. Confessing she did that just to save 15 minutes in the morning rush. It cuts right through that perfection myth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's relatable.
And it helps manage the guilt, maybe.
Absolutely. And on that guilt point, she brings in research like the big NICHD study of early childcare and youth development. It tracked over 1,000 kids for 15 years. And the conclusion, children who were cared for exclusively by their mothers did not develop differently than those who were also cared for by others.
That's huge.
It is huge. It shows that things like parental behavior, the quality of the relationship between the parents, that emotional intimacy, those matter 2 to 3 times more than the specific form of childcare used.
So working moms can maybe let go of some of that guilt?
That's the implication. Focus on the quality of the connection, not just the quantity of hours or who provides the care.
Okay. Beyond the individual efforts and the dynamics at home, Sandberg argues that real systemic change requires breaking the silence. We need to talk about this stuff.
Yes, let's start talking about it.
She tackles how difficult it is to openly discuss gender issues in the workplace. People fear appearing unprofessional or like they're whining or even facing penalties for speaking up.
That story about the male CEO.
Oh, right. Where he told her it's easier to talk about your sex life in public than to talk about gender.
That just says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How deeply uncomfortable these conversations can make people, especially those in power.
But does speaking up actually work?
According to Sandberg, yes. And she gives concrete examples. Like at Google, where male engineers were more likely to self-nominate for promotions. Once they shared that data openly, made people aware of the disparity.
Women's self-nomination rates went up significantly.
Exactly. Just making the invisible visible changed behavior. She also highlights Harvard Business School's efforts. They noticed academic performance gaps between American male students and female or international students. By fostering a level of mindfulness, making small tweaks to classroom communication, like ensuring everyone got airtime, they closed the gap. And importantly, it benefited all students.
So it's not about blame, it's about awareness and adjustment.
Precisely. It shows how open dialogue, even about uncomfortable truths, can genuinely transform minds, behaviors, and ultimately the institutions themselves. It creates a more inclusive environment for everyone.
So the book wraps up by stressing that achieving real equality isn't just an individual task. It needs collective action. And a new approach, moving beyond any us versus them thinking or even those damaging mommy wars that sometimes pit women against each other.
What kind of collective action does she see as key?
Well, a key observation she makes is about the queen bee syndrome. You know, the idea that women who reach the top sometimes hinder other women coming up behind them.
Right, pulling up the ladder.
But she argues that this is changing, thankfully. And she gives this really powerful example from Merrill Lynch.
Tell me about that one.
4 female executives there apparently made a pact. Since they felt uncomfortable bragging about their own successes back to that likability bind.
Okay.
They agreed to actively tout one another's achievements in meetings, in reviews, publicly.
Amplifying each other.
Exactly. And what happened? Their careers flourished, and, as Sandberg puts it, the hive became stronger.
That's a fantastic example of women supporting women, lifting each other up instead of competing in a system not designed for them.
And crucially, she doesn't leave men out of this equation at all. She emphasizes the critical role of men as allies.
It's not just a women's issue.
Not at all. She urges men to actively seek out, hire, and promote qualified women. And importantly, she frames it not just as altruism, but as good business sense. Because diverse groups, diverse teams consistently perform better. They bring different perspectives, leading to better outcomes.
So this brings up that vital, ultimate question. How do we actually get to a future where we have, as she hopes, no female leaders, just leaders?
Yeah, where gender isn't the qualifier.
It really boils down to breaking these cycles, doesn't it? Changing the deep-seated social norms. Ensuring that expectations for everyone are set by personal passion, talent, ambition, not by gender.
It's about creating a world where both our sons and our daughters feel equally respected and supported.
Whatever choices they make, right? Whether that's leaning hard into a demanding career or choosing full-time caregiving or finding some unique path in between.
Her final vision is quite hopeful, isn't it? That this next wave can be the last wave.
A future where this conversation isn't needed anymore because equality is just the reality.
Well, we've journeyed through Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In. We've explored its really powerful call to action for women to lean into their ambitions, to challenge those internal barriers we talked about, and also, critically, to build true partnerships, both at home and at work.
Yeah, such a mix, isn't it? Intensely personal stories, really compelling data, and some very actionable practical insights that, well, they definitely continue to spark conversation even years later.
Absolutely. We've touched on that pervasive imposter syndrome, that tricky success and likability bind.
That jungle gem idea for careers, which I really like.
Me too. And the absolutely critical importance of having a truly supportive partner.
This deep dive hopefully leaves you with a pretty comprehensive understanding of the book's core arguments and why they still feel relevant today.
So if you enjoyed this bookish dive into Lean In and you want more insights from compelling books, books that really make you think, be sure to follow us wherever you get your audio. We've done a couple of these before, as we said, and there's always more to explore with us.
Definitely. So we'll leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. After hearing all these insights today, what's maybe one assumption or one internal barrier that you feel ready to lean in against starting today? To help create a more equitable future, both for yourself and maybe for those around you.